Hello and welcome to our April meeting of the Woodside Fire Protection District Board of Directors meeting. This is our new and improved starting time of 6 o'clock, where some of us have forgotten. So hopefully next time I will remember to come promptly at 6. I apologize for the delay. With that, we will get right into it and ask if there is anything anyone from the public would like to say. This is our section for general public comment, where members of the public may speak on topics which are not on the agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to do so? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. That would move us to the consent agenda, and I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as distributed.
I would make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. We've unanimously approved the consent agenda. That would bring us to the regular agenda business items, and we will pause for each one to make sure members of the public have an opportunity to speak on them. The first will be a presentation on GASB's Statement 75 requirements, with the intent of the board learning a bit more and getting their questions answered and bringing us all a little bit closer to understanding our finances together. Before we do that, is there any member of the public who wishes to make a statement on this topic? I do not see one, so I don't know how you guys want this one.
Yeah, so I think ultimately it's more of a discussion than a presentation, I would say. There is some paperwork in front of you there that we can kind of touch on as we go through. And my intent is to just give a brief kind of explanation and overview of this, and then have some interaction with questions and answers and see if we can't, kind of spark a discussion on our liabilities. So in the past, we've discussed our liabilities. When we see the monthly spreadsheet and we're looking down at the bottom there, GASB 68 and GASB 75, and what are those? So simply put, GASB 68 is our pension liabilities. GASB 75 is our healthcare, and they call it OPEB, which is it is benefits other than, or post-employment benefits other than pensions. So essentially what the GASB 75 is, which is what we'll focus on tonight, is health, medical, vision, and dental. And so that is kind of where we're at. So talking about that, a question that had come from, I believe you, Mr. Miller, at some point was where is that? Where does that live? And where are those funds, and what are they giving us back, and what are we getting in return? So in front of you, what we have is there's something called the California Employers Retirement Benefit Trust. It's a CRBT strategy, and through CalPERS, and this is where that money goes. So when we started this, putting it into this account, this is it's run by CalPERS, and it is a general fund that is paid into by departments and invested by CalPERS. We don't make the decisions. What we have the opportunity to do is pick a strategy out of 3. So strategy 1, 2, or 3. There's paperwork, obviously, it's pretty extensive to read during this meeting, so I encourage you to take it home and look over it. We started in 2011, and we started with strategy number 1, and we've been with strategy number 1 the entire time. If you look at, there's a couple sheets here.
That was the correct choice.
Yes,
as it turned out.
So where you have a paper clip there, the first page there is when we started. We started June 29th, 2011. And the investment amount of $200,000, and we put that towards strategy 1 and 2. I always struggle saying it, the CERP,
Yes.
CalPERS trust. So I'm just going to say trust from now on. So the intent was from the chief at the time to start paying into this to reduce our unfunded liabilities and have this grow over time. So we got to a point where we weren't just stuck with this massive liability, and we were just paying as we go, and we weren't making any progress on it. Let me backtrack. With GASB 75, it doesn't require you to make any sort of payment plan or payments. You obviously have to pay what your liabilities are, but you don't have to pay anything else into this trust. You don't have to form this trust. That's something you do to be proactive. So we were proactive in doing that. All GASB 75 does essentially is make you, on your monthly statements and so forth to the boards, it makes you disclose what your total liability is.
The net liability.
The net liability, absolutely.
Gotcha.
And so what we decided to do, this was, before my time in this position, was fund that and fund it pretty aggressively. So if you look at that sheet there going down, we started out for a few years there with, $200,000 each time for putting it into the trust. It increased over several years there. And what we essentially got to a point was that the funds that we've put, our principal, are around the area of almost 13 million, 12.7. Okay. But with the returns on those investments, our funds are around 22,451,000. So that puts us at an area of being about 84% funded for our GASB 75 for our liabilities, which is a really good spot to be.
And
So-
so Eric,
Yeah,
the
please.
contributions were all out of just our regular operating income.
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. General fund. So where we are now, the last one that we've done was in 2023. And the reason being is that we've made contact with the associates from Foster and Foster, correct? And PERS. And they said that where we are right now, because of our returns, within 5 to 10 years, we'll be 100% funded on this account. Now, this can obviously change. It's a large pool of investments, so it can go up and down with the market. It's very fluid and so forth. However, we've seen a significant growth over the period of time that we've been doing it. And so it's very promising. The sheet behind is kind of just a breakdown of where we are right now in our market value summary. This one, I try to keep them all in order. so
That's
there's
excellent.
something. So in order to kind of answer the question of where are these funds and where do they live, this is where they live. This is where we're getting our returns from. There is percentages and like I said, I don't know if you want me to go into and just kind of read through all of it or if this is.
No, I mean, this is my job, so I mean. We don't have a lot of options for these things, and I guess my read of this is we were very smart to have picked the option that was the most aggressive, is the
Yes.
word, has 50% equity. These others would have meant much lower returns later, and in the long run, that is the right way to have done it. So I remember in the earlier days, we would every year put $1 million aside under some of the earlier chiefs. We were I'm not sure we really knew what we were doing precisely, but I would say that we've reached a point where I'm glad we are learning about it, but we probably do have a decent shot of not needing to top that up. And my understanding from some other research was that our level of funding is certainly well above average for districts like us. It's very responsible.
Mhm.
And I couldn't really find many of the districts. Nobody seems to be 100% funded. So there's no point in probably putting much more money into these. We can hopefully get similar returns in our own portfolio, different discussion. But these have done reasonably well. I mean, last year, strategy one, which is what we're in, had a gross return or a net return of 15%. The market was up 25% last year. Bonds are up 4%. This is a very decent deal. So that definitely answers my question, is the first question of like, how does this thing even work?
Yeah.
Because this is the first time we as a group in my 12 years here have ever actually looked at this account, and I just want to make sure it existed. So that's
Yeah.
great. And it is well deployed, and I'm glad we've been chipping away at this liability. We'll have an interesting conversation. When we move to the healthcare one, which is some orders of magnitude bigger, I'm sorry, the pension liability, and that's fine. But I found this pretty heartening to see, so thank you.
Yeah, and talking, like I said, talking with our consultants, we're in a good spot. And if we keep on track and things, we continue to see steady growth, then it will get to a point where it'll be funded within the.
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of the next question I had was, do we expect it to rise smoothly, the costs to rise sort of smoothly? All the stuff from Foster and Foster, it sort of looked like we expected the cost to be fairly predictable and rise, and there was no discontinuity from different employee classes or anything.
So there's another page about the cost of the house, Kaiser, which we benchmarked the. So I put a comparison from 2020 all the way to
I see this, that's
2026. Yeah, so you can see the changes, the increase year over year.
Yeah, I mean, 6-7%, that's doable.
1 year is 11, so
That's the
average
inflation.
is 7.7% increase, so.
Yeah, so we've had a couple where they've come down, we've had a couple where they've obviously gone up. And we had the one where it went up by the large percent there, the 11%, that was a difficult one.
That was the year inflation was 11%, so.
But it went down this last year. So.
And we base our liability off of this Kaiser benchmark.
Correct, sir. So what we do right now is that's our landmark is the Kaiser Family Plan.
Yeah.
And that's what we base it off of.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, my big picture read of all that is that our costs shouldn't be rising in any surprising way. We have some shot at not having to contribute a ton more to this particular plan out of cash, that we could use it for other purposes like operating,
Yeah.
building and admin building, funding our other liabilities on the pension side.
I don't see any drastic increases on our personnel in terms of a mass exodus or a big, a retirement. Buyout from people that are trying to all leave at the same time. We're gonna have a few that are trickling, which is normal kind of pace for us. It's not gonna be anything that's unexpected. So that's a good thing. So we also too, there's kind of a benefit summary of the page that was right before. I apologize, we skipped one for you. But it gives us just the total retirees and kind of where we're at right now and what our liabilities are. So our monthly costs for medical, dental, vision, total retirees and total beneficiaries, total headcount on the bill. And just kind of the average cost per family, keeping in mind that, the children obviously aren't on there for life. Children are on there until they're 26, and et cetera. So, average retirees age, spouse's age, et cetera. So we have, 19 on that medical plan. Retiree plus 24, and then 4 single. So just kind of looking at what we have, it's not looking like it's trending significantly up.
Yeah.
And it won't continue on in the near future in terms of our retirees. However, healthcare and those percentages are out of our control.
Yeah, I mean, we've done what we can do. And the overall monthly cost, if it really is 106, is not, not staggering. It's like having one extra person.
Yeah.
On staff, or less than that, really. Not for a little.
And this foster report, this is the same one we saw in January or whatever that was that you last distributed this. There's no foster report, this same one.
It's on the end of this.
Yeah.
So moving on from that, going on to, before we go on, is there any other kind of questions that we should touch on before we?
I don't, I mean, we met and we talked about it in detail and this is consistent. I was worried about healthcare costs going up out of control, hiring or growing the staff, mortality rates of people. I mean, those are the factors that seem to impact.
Yeah, like I think I mentioned in that one, obviously, aggressive funding of this and making sure we're staying on top of it. I think, conservative budgeting and thoughtful budgeting, conservative contracts, things like that are all things that kind of help moving forward and making sure that we stay on top of this, but it's definitely something that we're in a good position now, and I foresee us staying in that way. So,
And a question on the Kaiser family rate that we've used as our benchmark,
Yes.
and I know that's what we use contractually. Or do we have any history on like when we chose that rate or what the other alternatives were, or why we ended on that?
we've been doing the Kaiser family plan for quite a while now. I'd have to look at the exact year that we started doing that. And that was kind of the industry norm at the time. A lot of people were utilizing that to kind of base their compensation on.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the year. I'll have to look into that for you. And I wasn't involved in that exact negotiation. So yeah, I'll look into kind of why that came about. But I know that it's been our standard for quite a few years.
Yeah.
It's always been a healthy
It's
area,
always
hasn't
been, yeah,
it? You've been here
yeah, it's
the whole
been,
time.
it's been a long
I've been here
time.
12 years.
Yeah,
We've always used Kaiser for everything,
Yeah.
so it is
Yeah.
the rate.
Okay.
It's like the only rate we've ever used.
yeah.
I mean, it seems like a reasonable benchmark, and I know that like.
It's not a benchmark, it is our, I mean, it's
Yeah.
what we're paying.
Yeah, no, I
It's the
understand that,
program
but
we're
it's, as we look at, are there alternatives,
Yeah.
do we want to consider alternatives,
Sure,
all that sort of
But
thing.
Kaiser's always the most cost effective.
Yeah,
Having done
yeah,
this, like every
No.
company.
I agree.
And I would imagine that's why we went with that initially.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, my buddy had a triple bypass and some of the best doc, it's like really great care. And
Quality
you just
care.
can't really do better with any of the ones I've been on, fortunately. I think there's more.
Yeah, good, okay.
So moving on, I think there was another, just kind of where are we with our
It's sort of benchmarking, what's
Yeah,
my
so
question.
the last, this page here, the last page is where we are. Woodside has a very good package and is very competitive with our neighbors.
It's a page comparison with
This one
the,
right here.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty, yeah, I lost it.
Woodside Fire obviously covers full medical, dental and vision at the cost of the Kaiser family plan for spouse or for retiree and spouse. children up to 26. That's all part of our retirement. So for the city of Road City, just south of us, or not south of us, east of us, 90% of Kaiser family rate. And then can you confirm for me vision or no vision on that?
No dental, no VSP. Yes, I confirm that. So for the retiree, only benchmark to the single family single.
Okay, so it goes to single family.
Single. The
yes,
cap is
yes.
there single for.
Single payer, not
retiree.
family
Yeah,
payer, yeah.
yes.
Menlo does something a little bit different. They're significantly less. They do not do for retirement. It's $675 each month into a
default.
PARS account. Yeah.
Yeah, to the part, no, PEH, but goes to the PARS account is there. They do like a
They don't
trust
do the
fund
PERS.
too. They don't do PERS one. So 67.5 to each retirees defer account.
Yeah.
So they do whatever they can invest and they pay their own medical.
Yeah. And they, if I'm correct, it's no, for the retiree, it's the no vision, no dental that was put into, yeah. And then, for classic members, who retire after 1/1/2002, they get an additional 250 a month stipend towards their medical insurance, up until 65.
So basically, no one does dental except us and Menlo Active. Nobody does dental for retirees. Nobody does vision for retirees. Nobody else does family for retirees.
Correct.
That's right. I'm glad we do.
Yeah.
Just also just good for us to know
Yeah,
as a
it's something that is,
total package employment.
yeah. Okay, so moving forward from that, any other questions?
No.
Yeah, well, I encourage you to enjoy some reading.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Enjoy some light reading.
I felt like that was like the easy appetizer to eat or like the easy first beer to drink when the next course, the
Yeah,
Panther one's gonna be
the
more
gas
like
is 68 and Vince is gonna take the
eating
lead on that one.
like eating a live wildebeest or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That one's just very large at 38 million and the numbers all scare me much more, but I look
Yeah.
forward to doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Next,
absolutely.
next meeting, whenever we're all, certainly all three here.
Yeah, and I'll touch base with you. We have some financial planning and things like that that are coming up on this next month. So maybe we're thinking we'll push it out another one. Just to.
That's fine. There's no rush from
Yeah.
us, but
Yeah.
did want it, the knowledge, or at least the thinking to sort of dovetail with the financial, long range process we're supposed to kind of go down.
Yep.
And if, I mean, those are just big, this turned out to be really well under control and excellent. The $38 billion pension obligation is like, so let's make sure we do it before we do the long-term plan.
Okay.
That's anytime.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
was helpful for me.
Yeah, it was really helpful for me. I told you, it's sort of like when you fly in an airplane, you're like, damn, I don't want to even think about how this thing works, but it's, as soon as I start thinking how it works, it's not gonna stay in the air. So I've been here, whatever it is, 12 years, and I'm like, oh yeah, that pension stuff is great. It's working right along there on that line on the spreadsheet. But I do now understand how it ties to what we do show on the sheet. We're showing the right net liability there, and that's cool. So thank you for going through all that, and I hope it was not.
Yeah, no,
not
it
too
was
painful
actually
for
very
you.
beneficial for all of us to kind of look into and start researching and getting on that time.
I was hoping it
I'm
would.
assuming that the SB 75 is about the proper reporting of it.
It's, yes,
I'm
exactly.
assuming
That's-
with all this, we're
Yeah.
reporting properly and.
Yes, absolutely. So we're only obligated to report our full liability and where we're at, and that's what we are doing.
Yeah.
But we are going above and beyond. We're not obligated to fund this trust. We're not obligated to even have one, to be
Right.
honest with you.
And a lot of people don't.
And a lot of people don't. So we could, if we wanted, which we're not going to, but we could just be paying all of our liabilities out of that and have 100% of, or no percentage of funding on that. And it would just be our all liabilities. So.
Great. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
wholesome discussion. The next topic is to receive a presentation regarding the demolition of structures currently at 3117 Woodside Road. And before we do that, I will ask whether any member of the public wants to make a comment about this topic. I do not think so. So why don't we move ahead?
Yeah, so again, not necessarily a presentation, discussion. So yeah, and yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at this from we have to take a first step, and I'd like to start being a little bit more aggressive with this than not, because what tends to happen is that these can never get steam, and it's very easy to put it off indefinitely, right? So I've been working with Mike Wasserman. Obviously, he still does some work with us, contracted through stations and so forth. And approached him about what that would look like in terms of costs, et cetera. Preliminary stuff, it's pretty substantial because there's a lot more to it than just getting a bulldozer and driving through and going from there.
That would do it for free.
Which I actually, when I first looked into this, I was kind of thinking, hey, maybe I can pull that off. It's definitely not. There's a lot of things that are involved with it. Hazmat investigation and reports, the demo permit package, LNB fee to perform site surveys, architectural historian, CEQA.
Huh.
Planning commissions, demolition permits, abatement, demolition, contingency, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my ask for, I guess, action on this would be if you, as the board, are willing to receive a presentation, a formal presentation from Woodside Fire and Mike Wasserman at the next meeting. And if you had any concerns about me moving forward with doing that prior to me starting to put it all together and get it ready for you. I intend to take this first bite to not only kind of clear it out and get the ball rolling. It's a significant eyesore for the community as well. It's kind of dilapidated and fallen apart. People know that it's ours now. And it's difficult for us to enforce all these zone zero things like that when we have just a kind of a overgrown, fallen apart structures that we're representing, and they're right next to this big, beautiful station. I think that my goal would be to get this going this next fiscal year, clear it out, get ourselves a clean slate, and then look at the options of moving forward for plans and funding and those next big steps to kind of streamline that process. So that's where my head's at with this, is that I've learned sometimes the best way to start is just to start and kind of be aggressive with it and get out there and do that. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on it and see where your headspace is, and if you'd be receptive to receiving an official presentation at the next meeting.
Yeah, definitely.
Certainly.
Okay.
I have two thoughts, so I'll try to make them quick. One is, look, if it's that's unfortunate that it's that ugly to knock something down, but if it is, it's not gonna get any cheaper probably.
Yeah.
The way things go here. The only other thought is that I know what residents do in this situation is that no one ever demolishes anything. They always remodel things. And that cuts half of those things off.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether we could ever in a rational way salvage any piece of that would save us a bunch of energy and time. Sure, strip it of all the vegetation, knock down everything, leave a slab. We're gonna use the slab as the back room and ask Wasserman or ask.
Yeah, I think that
I just wouldn't want us to be stupid if there's a way to do that legally and appropriately the way all the residents seem to do it.
okay.
For us to just turn this thing into native earth at a cost of some crazy number and then build it up when everyone else tries to reuse a part of it.
Yeah.
Is that thing got a septic? I don't remember. Is it on
no,
town sewer?
no, that's on, I believe.
Okay,
town
so
sewer.
that's
Yeah.
reuse. I mean, I'd be happy to receive a presentation. I guess I would just ask that somebody explore that angle as part of it.
Absolutely.
Whether there'd be any smart way to fix the eyesore problem, but preserve an element of it that allows it to not be a complete rebuild, which is, as I understand it, what everyone else does, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, I think,
I hear everyone tell these great stories at cocktail parties, how they do.
I will absolutely look into that. My gut feeling on that is probably not.
Probably not, I agree.
Because the structures themselves are so beyond dilapidated that I'm not really sure what we would, and if we have.
Yeah, no, all anyone seems to do is be some part of the
Yeah.
foundation or the a septic or some system.
Yeah,
Whatever.
we'll absolutely look into that and make sure that we address that and.
But yeah, I'd love to get started on something.
Yeah.
And it is not gonna get any cheaper.
Perfect.
Okay.
So I guess then, the direction to staff is that prepare a presentation for the next meeting.
Yeah. It's good.
Are there some things in the presentation? I mean, it'd be great to get some budgetary estimates of.
That's
what that
essentially-
Would look like in
yeah.
the long run.
That's essentially what will be covered, is that all those costs, everything that were for this portion of it. And kind of a game plan as to when that would start, what that would look like, how long it would be, et cetera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Awesome.
Okay, that brings us to topic R3, which is to consider and possibly adopt resolution 2602, a resolution to establish a collective bargaining sunshine policy. Before we hit it, would any member of the public wish to talk about this topic? I do not see it, so I will turn it over to you, given this came up a few months ago. I expressed some concerns. It has now reappeared.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, if you look underneath, you have some, the collective bargaining sunshine policy that's in your board packet, as well as a kind of a policy overview and a resolution. This was, brought back to us, by Director Foster, wanting some resolution on it and kind of closing out and discussing what we wanted to do with it. We initially, through talking about this, and there's some info on this policy overview. We are essentially doing this right now already. This is essentially the Brown Act.
Because you're posting it a month ahead somewhere.
So that's essentially what the one section, as my interpretation, and Ruben, if you'd like to jump in, you're more than welcome, but we are already doing our postings, we are already following all legal,
We are
action.
compliant with
We
the
are
Brown Act.
completely compliant with the Brown Act. What this gives you is the ability to exceed the requirements from the Brown Act. So it increases transparency, it increases public trust and so forth. So looking at that, some of the, the principles of the sunshine policy, obviously open in public meetings, we currently do that. They're open to all and they're public. Advance notice and agendas, we currently do that. Public access information, we currently do that. And transparency in decision making, obviously, we allow people to have time to speak and to write correspondence. So for this, essentially, it focuses more on the contract negotiations and labor agreement prior to coming to a definite agreement. So what this gives us is that if we are in negotiations, and we come to a tentative, we would have to kind of alter the way that we do those negotiations with the labor group, letting them know, hey, listen, this is where we are. This is not an agreed upon contract, but we're going to post it for public review. And so there's nothing that's been agreed upon. It's not finalized. And then the intent of that is that if you receive public feedback for you as board members, it allows you the opportunity to come back and discuss that and to bring up any concerns or valid points or anything so forth. So that's pretty much the portion that is different with the sunshine policy.
I mean, I think we can be a little more firm with what we're saying to the union, which is, we agree in principle, subject to, this 30-day review by the public. And this is our policy. We know Menlo Fire does this. And we're not committing ourselves ahead of what the public is allowed to comment on and review and so on like that. But we are saying that we're proposing this to the public essentially. And if there's comment, then, the public's welcome to weigh in on it. But I think as far as what we're saying to the union is, look, we support this in principle, subject to whatever comment the public might have.
We can say that, but that didn't work this year.
Well, we got ourselves in a little different situation this year, I think.
I don't really understand how we did. I guess that's the point, is this, my understanding from what we learned this year is as soon as you have something called a TA, a tentative agreement, you could be accused of acting in bad faith if you change it. This comes after the TA,
Well,
as I understood the
but the
process.
TA is subject to our sunshine policy, which I think is a common thing. And so we're not then acting in bad faith by saying that we agree with this in principle, subject to our public's right to have a look at it and comment and whatever else.
Well, what you're saying though is the sunshine policy is not the ability to change it. It's just to put it out there. So that's where I feel weird about it, is I don't really get whether I can change it later or not. It seems like unless we really change the way we're talking with the union in these definitions, you're right. You can say it's subject to it, but you're still obligated to it.
Well, I
We'd
don't
have to
think we
change
could
that
be,
thinking.
I don't think we could, well, I guess,
The thinking by the union that led us to where we were this year.
yeah, that's
So
what I
without
think.
that, I don't want to do this, is what I'm saying.
I agree with that, yeah, but that's part of our different approach to how we're gonna approach the negotiations next time, right? But I do think that having a sunshine policy is a good signal to the public that, look, everything's here, we're giving you every chance to take a look at this and make your comments. I think,
I totally agree, but I don't think it's a good idea when it can't be changed. I'd like to do it earlier in the process
but
when
I
it
don't
could be
know.
changed.
But why would we not be able to change it if we say, look, it's subject to public comment? If there's a public outcry, I don't know that we could, which I don't expect, but I don't know that we could sort of say, oh, you've had your chance to comment, we don't care, we've already committed to this.
Again, it seems like exactly what happened this year, and that's where we were.
Well,
And these are like labor laws that are beyond some handshake agreement with the union to be nice to us over this.
well, but I
As I understood it from Ruben, and maybe that's a good point
Well,
for
it'd be
Ruben
good
to
to-
jump
yeah.
in.
Ruben, is there anything that you'd like to add on this?
Well, I think, as we indicated here, that we are going, above and beyond what the law requires. The Brown Act says you post it 72 hours before, the board takes action, and so that's when it is done. The only other requirement in the Myers-Millis-Brown Act is that once it's made publicly available at a meeting, that the board then has to take some action on a tentative agreement within 30 days of that first time that it is posted and made publicly available. This is a little bit different because we're saying once a tentative agreement is reached, we will then make it then available to the public for 30 days and provide them with the opportunity to comment. The law does recognize that the board can, change a tentative agreement and so forth and or send it back for further, discussion or whatnot. But as we've indicated, yes, there is always a risk of potential claims of bad faith depending upon the underlying facts. I can't say that it wouldn't happen, but the law does recognize that no agreement exists until the board takes final action, and that a board can reject a tentative agreement. I can't comment on what the repercussions of that might be, but the board can reject it. The law recognizes that sort of a situation.
Right, but I mean, I don't want to talk out of school or say stuff that's private, but like, we were in that position and look what happened. So
Yeah.
I'm not getting it.
So I guess the question I'd have, Ruben, is in practice, how do we as a board avoid being accused of bad faith if we say, all right, well, we've reached a tentative agreement, but we have a sunshine policy, and so the public gets to comment. And if there's some kind of, overwhelming outcry from the public, I think we as a board would have to consider that. Is that us acting in bad faith?
No, I don't think that's necessarily acting in bad faith. As long as the union is aware of that going into the discussion, when you're making the proposed tentative agreement, that they understand that you have a policy, let's say, for sunshine policy, and yet that while you as a representatives or otherwise are saying, we think this is good, the public may come back and present some other information that we're not otherwise aware of or need to consider. Might they argue bad faith? Sure, they could always argue bad faith, but I think you're in a better position to say we're acting in conjunction with a sunshine policy that we have in place, and they're aware of that going in, and that's what the tentative agreement is basically made subject to.
Okay, I understand that logic, that it gives us some leg to stand on there. That does make sense, but does this not elongate the process another 30 days?
That's what I'm thinking.
Again, this
It
time.
will, yes, I
we
mean, you
got
have to
way
build
over
in
the
that
process.
time.
We get emergency meetings. This just adds 30 days to the
So it
process.
does, it absolutely does. It adds 30 days. So
And
I think that
so,
if this is agreed upon by the board, then that would just have to be taken into account, and we would start our process even earlier than we are, which is already gonna be the year prior, which is gonna be significantly.
yeah,
earlier.
okay, so another question. I looked long and hard, and the only district I could find with this thing is Menlo. Who else has this?
In our area, this is the only one that I.
You go beyond our area. I couldn't really find any other. So I don't want to be an asshole, but
I think,
I see a lot of things, flexibility and work that we give up to do this. I have less time. I have this interesting issue where last time we had a tentative agreement and I had to change it. We were not able to, and maybe that'll work. So I see a lot of things that concern me that we definitely will have more burden. What I'm not understanding, I understand the claim, it'll make the public happier. My opinion is unfortunately the public isn't paying that much attention. I'm happy to give all this information out. I'd like to do it earlier. When I looked at other sunshine policies, they occurred early in the process. The Brown Act requirement is sunshining it early, which we do by posting stuff. But I am today still somewhat uncomfortable doing this today for something that's going to happen in 2.5 years, when I'm seeing a whole bunch of things that could cause trouble, but I'm not seeing like the huge advantage. And I would be happy to continue working through this totally. But I'm not understanding why we need to do this tonight or why it reappeared quite that fast.
That
And I'd
was-
like to explore these other things.
I suggest that we add to the back to the agenda because I thought it had just sort of disappeared. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm still subject.
I didn't want it to
discussion
disappear there. I wanted to
Okay,
work through
fine.
these issues. These are the questions I asked, like, okay, so help me understand. Suddenly, we're allowed to break a TA where we weren't last year. Well, okay, we're allowed to break a TA because we told them it was subject. I guess they'll tell all the, maybe that all works, but I would rather talk to everybody involved. I'd like to understand whether we're the only ones doing this other than Menlo before I would vote for it. But I'm totally willing to get there, but this will not matter a bit for 2.5 years, then it will. Let's learn how it would work in a
That's
flow
fine.
chart,
Yeah,
and whether the
I'm
union would
supportive
go
of that.
along with this before we just do this tonight.
I suggest more research then.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Let's keep it on the agenda, keep it coming.
Agreed.
Okay.
Let's talk to everyone
Yeah.
involved and see if anyone's figured out a way to. I mean, the Menlo folks have had it, but they haven't had any disagreements. Maybe they will soon. I have no idea. But this has not been tested in an actual difficult environment. It all sounds great. It's more sunshine. We're all good for sunshine, but I'd like to start earlier too. But every year, every time I've done this, it comes down to like the last week and everything's really hard.
Yeah.
And in the end, we're up against the wall. So let's try to work on how it would really work.
Sure.
And then get all there together.
Sounds
It
good.
might, if we might. I don't want to vote against it either.
Yeah, no, I'm
Is
fine
that
with
okay?
that. Yeah, sure.
Let's continue it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Brown Act has restricted us significantly from operating and doing our business. And putting another layer on top of that, to me, is, I don't see the benefit, I don't see the upside, other than doing more communication of I think we're doing a pretty good job of with the public today.
And I'd love to tell the public more about that and get their input, but I'd like to do it early.
Yeah.
Before there's anything agreed, really. I mean, where I saw it, I looked at the Sequoia Union District, Redwood City, a few other cities. They do this sunshine thing with the public at the first proposal. So either the union's first proposal, they sunshine, and then they sunshine the counter proposal, which is always part of our thing, and maybe we'll change it, I don't know. That's the level that sunshine occurs. And, yes, I'd be fine to post this thing earlier too, but what I really don't want to do, because I've heard a lot of it, is I don't want to take people's feedback after I really have an easy time taking it and doing something about it. And that definitely didn't seem like it was possible this time. So let's keep looking for other sunshine as well,
Sounds good.
at all levels. I'd love the public to be more involved. I just want to get into a crunch at the end again. So
Okay.
until next time,
I'm good with that.
That's what next time. All right.
thank you all.
I don't know.
It doesn't just apply to the labor negotiation, right? I mean, this could apply to our changing
Anything.
any major issue that we cover, so.
We
this
could choose to sunshine.
Yeah, 30 days to every topic, we're in trouble.
We could have sunshine to a lease agreement. I think lease agreements is a lot of money.
But there's stipulations in your policy, you would say, like you could put, you have to formally submit to this, do all those different guidelines that would follow the process.
Yeah, I'd like to put like in a really clear flow chart like they have like
Mhm.
for Redwood City, so everyone just sees where it's at and we can just point to it.
Yeah.
Where we will.
So more work to follow.
Staff reports. I'll give you my notes for, once again, a really cool story about the field resuscitation.
Sure.
Not that I want to see those every quarter or month, but it's amazing what can be done in the ambulance now. Nice to see the volume of new team members coming through the training department and everybody getting up to speed, and that will continue. I was interested to see the section about the AB 38 transfers. I sort of wondered whether that would be smooth for people or not when they had to get a property inspection to sell the property, because I figured people would be pretty up in arms if it wasn't. So I was glad to see in the report that has its own process and is moving along. That's cool. The cert photos with 30 people in the two events together were really nice to see. That looked like a fun event. And seeing our two engines at Golden State getting all prettied up was very exciting, especially the Type 3.
Yep.
It keeps looking really small in those pictures, but something tells me it's gonna be bigger.
I think
in
it's
person.
bigger than you.
Yeah, it's not gonna fit my
Yeah,
parking space.
Yeah, no, it's,
I can get that anywhere,
it's deceiving.
I guess, but still pretty cool to be coming. So I appreciate all the work everyone put in the staff reports. Any other comments, topics? No, then we will go to fire chief's report.
Alright. Alright, district updates, we are currently in the budget prep process. We just finished our first round of meetings with all the divisions. Everything is going well. Tracy and I have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow to do some of our stuff, and then we're gonna schedule out the second round and final and have it done early and ready to roll. That's our intent. So everything's good there. I'm still working on my new glasses here, so I can't read, like, so right now, this is blurry. Now this works, but if I look up at you, you're all blurry, and so I'm going like this, back and forth, so please forgive me.
I golf or baseball.
Yeah,
Really fun.
I'm really struggling here, so give me a second. I'm gonna either do this too, so I can.
We all look like it, actually.
We received both our type 1 and type 3, just
It's very
speaking.
chief like when you do that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, thank you. They were sent directly to Golden State for the final touches of radio installations, mounting and bracketing, and some other minor tweaks. We are excited to get those. It's been quite the process, and I feel like I've said this multiple times, but we're almost there. We're getting there. Final phase of our hiring process, 3 lateral firefighters went through the background investigations. They'll move on to medical evaluation once that's complete, and then start their onboarding process with us, shooting for the end of May. And then we are currently in the application period for a cadet program. So through May 22nd, obviously a great program, giving prospective firefighters exposure to the fire service. All of us here, cadets, I mean, it's been a great program throughout the inception of it. So, and it's really building. Captain Worley and some of the other captains are just doing a tremendous job with it. So,
That's great.
yeah, so it's good. And it's pretty late. That's it for updates.
Okay, light is good. Do we have written communication?
Yeah. We have 2 cards.
Well, my ones.
One is from a young man who was smitten by our mitigation crew. He absolutely loves the mitigation crew and they did a great job. I think you saw him there. Taking the time to do a demo for him and his mom and talk with him. And then this one right here was help with I believe a dryer fire.
Oh, wow.
So
We posted a short video of that
Oh,
with,
see that.
on our Instagram, our new Through Prevention's Instagram that we're just
I have
launching.
not followed you.
it's
We have to, we have to send to you, because it's a really cute little video.
okay. Very heartwarming.
That's
So
great.
that's it.
It's amazing what comes out of a dryer when you actually pull it. I
That's
took
my
that
favorite.
part out of my dryer the other day. It's been like 20 years and just kept coming.
Just kept coming.
Yeah, it's like a garbage bag.
Scared to do mine.
All right, so next time, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
That's what I'm hearing.
6 o'clock.
Really apologize to all of you. The whole goal was to get you home to your family earlier. Well, my wife knows now. She's giving me all kinds of crap. Dinner will be, I'll get her off this time next time. She was really pissed off. She's like, you told me that too. So apologize to all.
No worries.
So with that, I will call to a close this meeting of the Woodside Fire Protection District. We will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ruben. Thanks, team.
Thank you.